Today we shall talk about good habits for video editing, and the first good habit I want to talk about is being a perfectionist. Now, this may seem unnecessary to some, or may seem as if it would doom many editors to a life of never-ending edits and anxiety. I'm talking about a healthy amount of perfectionism that honors the details and catches mistakes. Because of my work in video marketing, I have spent quite a bit of time teaching new editors. And one of the things I've noticed about new editors is they're often not perfectionistic enough, and they'll end up making mistakes. And this could be bad cuts, this could be related to graphics, this could be positioning of clips, like perhaps there's a black bar on the top of the screen because you moved down the clip too far. When you pair that with working in a very high-speed environment, which is video marketing, that makes everything worse because then you're encouraged to work very fast. And listen, my friends, every editor makes mistakes. We should not be living in fear of making mistakes. It's entirely possible that I will make one or multiple mistakes in this video. Videos are big, complicated timelines of media, but part of our role as a video editor is to build habits that help us make those mistakes as little as possible and catch those mistakes when they happen. And what I've noticed is that new editors have not built those habits yet. They're not thorough enough. A seasoned editor knows how to... There's some sort of chopping machine occurring outside of my window. Leaf blowers will carry on. A seasoned editor knows how to scrutinize details from a creative standpoint and from the standpoint of catching mistakes, and they are detail-oriented in every area, including things like export settings. And this perfectionism that I'm talking about is not about not being willing to let a good edit go at a certain point. It's about checking your work, making sure it's doing what it's supposed to do. So to work on this, we want to slow down, we want to be more detail-oriented, and we want to do more checks and walkthroughs. And make checklists if you need to, because it can be easy to forget to check certain things that have bitten us in the past. When I do my checks and walkthroughs, sometimes they're broad. I'm looking at everything all at the same time. I'm stepping back a little bit to view the whole picture of what's going on in the edit, letting the edit flow and just kind of, embracing the video as it goes along. Sometimes I'm making them more specific. I'm looking for very specific things. And sometimes when I'm doing my final walkthrough, I have a stand-up desk. I'll actually stand up and step back from my computer a little bit and move my body around as I'm watching the video. There's something about that helps my brain flow. It's easier, maybe because I'm getting up from my chair after hours of sitting down and like with my eyeballs on the screen. I don't know, I find that movement helps my brain. But assess how detail-oriented you currently are and figure out where that gap is between where you are and where you should be. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is lean editing, making your edits more lean. There is a quote that I came across, or statement, I guess, by Jacob Collier. He's an incredibly talented musician, and he has done these live streams in the past where he breaks down his music. He's like actually in the music editor talking about what's going on. He made a statement about creativity that I never forgot. I thought it was brilliant, and I think it applies here.
I tend to follow all of my initial ideas and let them all come out. And as you see now, I'm muting things here, left, right, and centre, but I think it's very important to allow the splurge to appear and then to have the courage and discipline to know how to deal with it, rather than what education tries to do a lot of the time, which is to stop the splurge ever coming out and then telling people that that was the right thing all along when they don't know where the line is for themselves. So does that make any sense? I hope it does. Anyway, for me, I think it's very important with this kind of thing, and for every creative process, to first of all now enable the stream of ideas to go whoosh, and once the stream of ideas has come forth, then you make decisions. But don't make too many decisions before you start creating things, because otherwise the creation will be made sadder.
So I love this idea of being willing to vomit your ideas out and then have the courage to go through the process of cleaning all that up and making it into what it ultimately needs to be. I think video editing is much the same way. It's good to be expressive and get your ideas onto the timeline, be willing to be messy, and then be aggressive about focusing your edit. And you do all this based on your goal, and you choose your aggression level of how lean you want the edit to be based on your goal and also in respect of the format of where the video is ultimately going to end up. My edits for YouTube are much less lean than my video ads are. Those are incredibly lean. And I like the word lean because I think it really gets to the point. It's trimming off the fat. And what happens with new editors is they don't see all the fat that can be chopped off. And a good way to determine what is lean meat and what is fat is, does it serve the narrative of the video? And this is different for every editor and every video and every goal. And let me give you 2 examples to compare. One is a hype reel that's supposed to be played at some event or for some event. It's a promotional video and it's meant to go really fast and convey energy, right? That edit is going to be very different than, let's say, a long form video of some guy living in a cabin in Alaska and he wants to communicate the ambiance of living in a cabin and chopping wood, and the video is an hour long. Both of those videos are okay edits. There's nothing wrong with either one of those, but they have different goals. In one, fast-paced energy, rah-rah is the point. In the other, the raw experience is the point. Well, James, you say, what if I cut too much? What if I lose too much information? What if it's too lean? Well, first off, have a scratch sequence. That can be very helpful. Somewhere where you can throw those bits that you chop off so that you can, keep them for later if you do need them. 2, you may find that you cut too much. That can happen. But you'll probably find that you cut just enough. And you might realize, that second shot of the same thing that the first shot was showing, I didn't actually need that. This feels great this way. So be brave and edit non-destructively. Now, the last thing I want to mention is just good creative practice, a good way to expand yourself as an artist, and that is to what I like to call diversify your creative soup. If we think of our creative influences as a big soup, if you have a soup that's just like water and onions, then what's going to come out, what your output is going to be much more narrow. It's going to be water and onions. But if you just throw all sorts of amazing things in there, and beef and noodles and spices, vegetables, mushrooms, pieces of tires, Legos, a flip-flop, then the soup that you're going to pull from for your output is going to be much more diverse. This will make your videos creative and dynamic and intriguing and different, and it will keep your videos from looking very samey to other editors. And one of the things this is good for is marketing yourself. New editors often end up looking very similar to so many other editors, and they're often not doing it as well as those other editors. And that really makes you much less useful as an editor within the context of making videos for other people, if that's your goal, because you are much less dynamic. You have much less to pull from in problem solving for these problems that are going to come your way that you're supposed to be making videos to solve the problems with. If your creative soup that you're pulling from is very simple, then your ability to problem solve is going to be very simple. And that's bad. So expand your bubble. Then you can make weird stuff like this. Don't you want to make that? Okay, that's about it. I will add a bonus. Turn your music down. Sometimes music is so loud that we can't hear the dialogue, so turn it down. And maybe use some headphones. And watch your decibel meter as well. Okay, that was 3 bonus tips. Come on, guys. Subscribe. I hope you enjoyed this and found it helpful. I would love to hear your thoughts down below. Any questions that you may have that I can elaborate on. Thank you so much for watching. God bless.